Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another quick update. So there's been some interesting developments in both Solana and Bitcoin in the past 24 hours or so. So let's take a deep dive into it and talk about what's happening in the markets right now. So just like clockwork, if we're looking at Bitcoin from a technical perspective, we've made another higher low. Once again, like we said in the previous video, dips are for buying. We flipped that previous resistance up at 38,000 as support. Over on the CME gaps, once again, like clockwork, filled the CME gap down to the downside at 39,000. Pretty much as soon as we filled it, we've been pushing to the upside ever since. As you can see, this CME gap has been taken out. We've bounced from the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, and it looks like we're heading up to the upside. Now, we'll talk about price targets for this in just 1 second, but I would first of all just like to highlight over on the stochastic RSI on the daily time frame. In the same time that we've bounced from this bottom and filled the CME gap, we have also completely reset the RSI down here, stochastic down at 0, and it looks like we're turning up and getting ready for that next rally back up to the upside. On the weekly time frame as well, in terms of the Bollinger Bands, we came right into that middle moving average, we bounced on it, and it looks like we're heading back up to the upside. So, you know, like we've been saying in the previous videos, the main target that I'm going to be looking at from now on is going to be this CME gap to the upside at 53,600, meaning from where we are at this moment in time, that's about a 26% rally to the upside. Now, of course, this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't going to happen in a day or so. Once again, it's going to be a choppy ride like we've seen in the past week or so. Once again, dips are for buying. Hopefully some of you guys got in and were able to scoop up some cheap Bitcoin and Solana as we did come down on these drops in the past week or so. Now, moving on from here, let's zoom out and focus on a little bit more of a macro picture. It looks like the initial drawing that we drew out on the weekly time frame before the Bitcoin spot ETF came out is kind of looking a little bit true at this moment in time. Now, we previously talked about this ascending trend line. This was resistance in August, resistance in April, resistance in November. We've come back down to the downside and we've clearly held this very, very well. This is a very, very quick SFP swing failure pattern we had beneath this level. I'm sure a lot of people were panicking. We're now back above the trend line. As you know, the saying, a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. And that is exactly what we are seeing right now. So looking at the drawing, I still think we're following the same path. We initially highlighted this resistance up here because this was the resistance at 48,000, this previous local top over here. If we're drawing the Fibonacci from the swing high down to the swing low, we came into the 618 fib. We've had that retracement, and just like we've drawn out over on here, in the initial drawing, once again, dips are for buying. Like we said, if dips happen, buy them up. They're not going to last for too long in these markets. And once again, the next level to the upside, of course, you want to look at that local top. You really do want to break above 48,800, the 618 fib. But we are now looking at the CME gap up here at 53,400. Now, do bear in mind, I drew this previous drawing over here predicting that Bitcoin could come down and fill this CME gap all the way down at 20,200. This was back before we had that spot ETF. I was personally thinking it's going to be more likely that we have a paper ETF, not a spot ETF. This was based on a prediction if we have a paper ETF. We've had a spot ETF, so my prediction is very much the same as what we've drawn out here. You know, we've kind of had that healthy reset, daily stochastic RSI reset. You know, we were overextended on the Bollingers, moving averages, etc. We've come down, we've reset them, we've retested previous resistance levels of support. I now think we're going to start coming back up to the upside to 53,500. Now, what happens from 53,500? Will we just continue rocketing to the upside? Well, potentially not. There's a little bit of a bearish spin on things I do want to talk about in the lower time frames. Now, first of all, from a news perspective, not really a big deal in my opinion. The US government has just been planning on selling 116 million worth of the Bitcoin they own. Now, I don't think this is a big deal. I also don't think the markets care about this whatsoever. As you can see, you know, the news came out maybe about 12 hours ago or so, and as soon as this news came out, it seems like the markets were up. In my opinion, while people may perceive this as bearish news, it's such a small amount of Bitcoin. 116 million is not the end of the world. I'm sure there's going to be some offers to purchase this OTC anyway, so, you know, the US government avoids all of the exchange fees anyway. And in my opinion, unless the US government are buying Bitcoin directly, which, you know, some people might think that's bullish. I think in terms of, you know, the Bitcoin that they've currently confiscated from things like Silk Road and, you know, criminal activities, the less of that they hold, the less of the stake in the network they've got in general, I perceive to be a bullish news event, and I think the markets are looking at that in the exact same way, and this came out with really perfect timing as we have, like I said, come down, hit those CME gaps, retested previous levels that were previous resistance to support, and now it looks like we are going to be going back up to the upside. However, I do have to put a very, very quick cautionary note out there. On the 4-hour time frame and on the 1-hour time frame, we are absolutely zooming above the Bollinger Band. So, you know, in terms of what's happening on the daily, a lot of things are reset, like we talked about earlier. I think we've got a lot of room to move to the upside on the daily for the next week or so. However, on the 4-hour, as you can see, if we are looking at the money flow index, you are seeing a lower high on the MFI, and you are seeing a higher high in terms of the price action, which is, you know, a classic case of bearish divergence. Now, this is on the 4-hour time frame. There's not really anything significant to talk about on the daily or the weekly or the monthly. This is just a cautionary note going into the weekend. I'm very, very bullish on Bitcoin. I just think, of course, you know, if you've missed out on DCAing at these levels down here at 38,500 and you're considering FOMOing in right now, there's always going to be pullbacks. I think there's going to be, I'm not saying we've topped out at this very moment in time. We could push up, this trend line could look something like this before we do have a healthy reset. But it is important, these markets do ebb and flow. They're not going to go up in a straight line over the next, 24, 48 hours or so. I really see, either a slight correction from here or a little bit of a chop accumulation to the side as we invalidate this divergence. So just a cautionary note, be careful, don't FOMO. We've obviously seen a lot of coins, Solana included, go up, 7, 10% today. It's looking very, very good. Now, while it feels like an altcoin season to me and the Cowboy family, all the altcoins that we talk about on this channel, all the altcoins we talk about in Discord, they are seeing, basically a bull run right now. Especially some of the coins we've been talking about over in my Discord in the Solana channel. I've also got a new channel over here discussing some small market cap coins over on Solana, some SLP tokens. We only made this the other day. Our first call was a meme coin that did a 3x. Our second call was another meme coin, which also did a 2x in 30 minutes. Our third call was another meme coin, which did about a 2.5x. It went up to about a 3.5x before it did top out, before coming back down to the downside. So I do highly recommend that you do come and join the Discord, especially if you're interested in Solana. There's going to be a lot more Solana calls. Like I said, for some people, this correction to the downside may have felt very, very brutal. I know a lot of people are talking about, Bitcoin's not looking too good, my wallet's not looking too good, but a lot of the people who've been trading Solana meme coins, the bull run has continued for them, which is very, very interesting. You come over to the Bitcoin dominance, you see the Bitcoin dominance regaining strength right now on the weekly time frame. It's been pushing up for the past 2 weeks. While Bitcoin has been outperforming, however, this isn't the case for every single altcoin. If we're coming over to Solana, the Sol BTC pair really doesn't want to break down to the downside, and Solana is up 7% today, outperforming Bitcoin by about 2%. Now, just very, very quickly, before we do move on to the Solana segment, talk about my price target, and then talk about what I think is going to be happening next, I want to quickly talk about 2 Bitcoin fractals and why I personally think we've got a little bit of growth for the next couple of weeks or so before having some sort of, macro accumulation phase, macro correction, because of course we're not going to go up in a straight line. We are going to have corrections on the way. I'm going to show you 2 charts very quickly. On the weekly time frame, you can see Bitcoin in the top of the screen. You can see the MFI at the bottom of the screen. As you can see with this fractal over here, apart from this top over here, which was perfectly called by the MFI, when you've been in very, very bullish expansionary phases for Bitcoin, you can see a lot of the time what happens is the MFI tops out just before the price action, and it gives you a sign, hey, we could continue a little bit further, but beyond that point, you probably want to be a little bit cautious. So what I'll highlight over here, and what I'll highlight on this peak over here, and what I'll highlight on this peak over here is, as you can see, a lot of the major tops have been called about a month prior in the MFI over on Bitcoin. Now, if we look at this, you can see, this was moving into the halving. You can see this was moving into the Bitcoin halving. What happened is we kind of rallied, the MFI was topping out, and then as the MFI was topping out and coming down, we had a little bit more of a push to the upside before we had an accumulation phase, and then the bull run was ready to continue. Over here, you saw the MFI top out. We had a correction in the bull run for about 3 weeks. Coming into the 4th week is when we started taking back off to the upside. upside. Over here, this MFI, it topped out. You had about a 1, 2, 3 week sideways chop before on the 4th week, you pushed up and made that top. So I'm seeing something very similar take place here. Like I said, you know, personally, I'm kind of looking at the CME gap to the upside over on Bitcoin. I think this is probably what's going to happen. We're probably going to have about a 25% pump to the upside, come and potentially fill this CME gap up here at 53,500 before having an accumulation phase. And this is very well tied in with the halvings. If we're coming over and looking at the halvings, this is just an indicator showing us the previous Bitcoin halvings. This is a line I drew on the chart to show us round about when the next Bitcoin halving is going to be. Approximately around the 15th of April. We don't have an exact date for that. It's going to be sometime around this date though. So as you can see, coming into the halvings, obviously Bitcoin matures and we do have a spot ETF on our hands, so that really does change some of the dynamics in the market. But as you can see, coming into this halving, you know, we had a correction. This is on the weekly time frame. We were correcting. We peaked just before the halving, and then we corrected for about, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. You know, we were in this accumulation phase. This was a tight accumulation range for 30 weeks, 200 days before we started pushing up higher. In the next bull run, after the 2018 bear market, you can see we came up and we were very, very close to hitting Bitcoin's previous all-time high. And then we had an accumulation phase coming into, you know, the next halving event, which looks very, very similar to what we're seeing at this moment in time. So those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. Let's now move on to Solana. Like we said, while the Bitcoin dominance is going up, this is one sign I'm currently seeing that we're actually not in the phase where we're seeing an alt season right now. Now, I know a lot of altcoins have been doing very well. Like I said, if you're on Solana, you've been trading these SLP tokens, it really does feel like a bull run right now for most of us. You know, we've been getting in these tokens that are doing 10x's, 5x's every other day. Solana is going absolutely bananas. However, the rest of the altcoin market isn't doing as well. You know, a lot of altcoins are doing well. Bitcoin's just doing even better. So while we're seeing a push to the upside in the Bitcoin dominance, and especially considering how in the lower time frames Bitcoin's got a strong bounce back and it's looking like Bitcoin is ready to go back up to the upside, you know, I'm thinking Bitcoin has that one last leg back up. I think it's going to tear. I think it's going to hit some of these price targets we were talking about. And then when we have that accumulation phase, I think this gives the Bitcoin dominance a chance to start to come back down to the downside. And over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it is, I think when people get, you know, impatient with Bitcoin not making a new all-time high so soon, the Bitcoin dominance is going to come down, and this is going to give altcoins like Solana a nice chance to run back up. So we're seeing the same picture that's developing right now for Solana. You know, we've once again made another higher low, we've flipped previous resistance to support, and we've had a very, very bullish impulse with, on the daily, a bullish engulfing candle pushing us up to almost $94. Now, it's not a picture perfect poll, but you can definitely see we are in a descending channel. This is a bullish formation. Of course, you could also look at this as a bull flag. If we're looking at the price target of this, I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. It's all the way up here at $240. So I don't think we're going to come up to $240 anytime soon. However, the structure stands. We're in a bullish structure. We're still moving to the upside right now. Solana is looking very, very good. On the daily, the EMA ribbons are tightening very, very quickly. You can see there's probably going to be a convergence within the next week or so, and Solana's either going to decide, hey, I'm going to start nuking back down to the downside, probably to previous support levels at $68 or $63, which isn't my prediction, or it could break up to the upside of this and start to head to price targets like $126, or also the horizontal resistance all the way up here at $143, horizontal resistance up here at $160, psychological levels at $150, or the 618 fib from the bull run high down to the bear market low. 618 fib right here at $164. Ignore my raspy voice, I've got a really bad cold right now, but nonetheless we continue. So like I said, Solana's looking very good, Bitcoin's looking very good to me. Dips are for buying. Some developments have been happening in Solana. You may know if you're in the Solana ecosystem today, we got the When airdrop. If you've been taking part in the Jupiter ecosystem, then you'll know that the Jupiter airdrop is going to be coming on the 31st of January. This is following the mock Jupiter airdrop, and in terms of When, this came out today, and this has been absolutely blasting to the upside. This is already a 57 million market cap. If you've interacted with Jupiter and spent more than $5 on it prior to the past few weeks, then you may have an allocation for this. So if you want to check if you've got an allocation, what you want to do is you want to come over to the official Jupiter Twitter. You want to join the official Jupiter Discord, and then you can find in their official links their website. You can see if you click on the airdrop, you'll find out if you've been airdropped Jupiter. I really do think all these airdrops that are happening right now for Solana and Jupiter are incredibly bullish for the price. This is one of the reasons why Solana is outperforming so much at this moment in time, especially after this correction. It's looking very, very nice. All of these airdrops happening on Jupiter, lots of liquidity is flowing in the market. People are making free money right now on these airdrops, so I feel like people are more incentivized if they make this money out of thin air. Maybe they take some profits, maybe they hold that Solana for a little bit longer. The when airdrop literally broke Jupiter's website, it broke the Phantom wallet. It didn't break Solana, there was no downtime in Solana, but you know, as you can see, Jupe is trending over on Twitter, Jupiter's trending over on Twitter. If you come over to Dex Screener, when is the #1 pair out of all of the cryptocurrencies at this moment in time. So there is a lot of hype coming into Jupiter's launch at the end of January, and that is one of the reasons why I'm extremely bullish on Solana in the short to long term. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Like I said, guys, a lot of bullish developments are happening at this moment in time. So for today, my friends, that's all I've got. If you enjoyed the content, you know what to do. Smash the like button, smash the comment button. I'll see you in the next one. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.